Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Don Thompson, and I am the CEO and founder of the Zen Vaper e-liquids. I wanted to give a little bit of a short discussion now about what the Pact Act is doing here in the United States and how it's affecting not only our community here in the States, but how it's beginning to reach out and affect other vaping communities globally. So let's talk. What is the Pact Act? For everybody who doesn't understand what it was, last December they made this bill called the Omnibus Bill, which our former President Trump then signed in early December. And that was supposed to give us a $600 stimulus check, which is wonderful. I got my check, cashed it, and used it for all kind of wonderful things. But hidden in that bill was some wording that was made by a congressman in New Jersey. And that wording was such that 90 days after the bill was passed, that we could the United States Post Office could no longer ship vapor products. In other words, that's it, prevented, like nix. So we found out about it just before Christmas, and all of us started to scramble because, like we all need to do some online stuff. And there's some online companies that's all they do. They don't have brick and mortar. And what they used to justify this was the youth tobacco and youth study, saying that kids were getting addicted to nicotine. Smoking was on the increase, vaping was on the increase, and that's why we're doing this. Well, the truth of the matter is, let me just kind of get to that first, is that smoking has been on the decline for the last 6 years. It has dropped exponentially among high school seniors and juniors. Vaping, on the other hand, had a little bit of a rise in 2018 and has been on a steady decline. And now I think the latest data that we have indicates that less than 2% of high school seniors vaped every day for the month prior that they filled out that survey. So I don't know, 2%, that's an epidemic. Anyway, so they come out with this Pact Act. And then very shortly after that, of course, FedEx and UPS and DHL just jumped on the bandwagon. And as of March 1st, we couldn't ship anything via any of those modalities. So, I mean, literally, I tried to ship over, was it a couple thousand 10 mil samples over to the folks at Vaporound so that they could distribute them via a sample box to some of the vape shops, vape chains, and distributors over there. And DHL picked it up. I mean, I had forgotten. DHL picked it up from my co-packer and brought it back 45 minutes later saying, we're no longer allowed to ship vapor products. And I was like, oh, okay, now we have to punt. So we used an alternative means to ship it over there and got it there. But that's what we're going through, is that we can no longer ship internationally unless we get super creative in how we ship. And so this affects not only the USA market, and I can't ship to all of my vape shops directly, but I can no longer ship to consumers. So my 1,500 loyal customers that have supported me for 5 years and helped me to pay my bills and keep the doors open and grow my business, they can no longer receive their weekly, bi-weekly, monthly load of Zen Vaper flavors. So once again, here we go. Let's scramble. Let's show these blankety blank people how resilient we are. So all of a sudden, these regional freight companies started to pop up and say, hey, we can be your B2B shipping. You don't have to ship like a pallet of stuff. We'll deliver individual boxes down to like a little 6x6x6 box, as long as we collectively ship so many boxes per day. So I'm with an alternative solution for shipping B2B. I also got with one of my distributors, and they have a website that actually also has a retail website, and they made an agreement with another freight carrier to ship B2C as long as they ship 500 boxes a day. So now my customers, they go to my website, they click on a flavor, it says, buy from authorized reseller, and off they go to my distributor's retail website to be able to buy their weekly, monthly, whatever Zen flavors. So how is this going to affect the UK and Europe and the Middle East and Southeast Asia? Well, all of this stuff is going to prevent a lot of United States companies from shipping anywhere outside the United States. And even, we have to file for like, shipping exceptions to ship USPS to even, direct to vape shops here in the continental United States. Fortunately, I was able to get with a third party who actually has that kind of agreement in place. So we're okay. But what's happening is you're going to find out that maybe some of your favorite flavors, unless they also are seeking out alternate shipping solutions, or if they have regional production capabilities over in the UK and the EU and the Middle East, that they're not going to be able to ship anymore. Okay. I'm going to talk more about this when Patrick interviews me on Friday. And please come to that Friday morning or the Friday afternoon meeting. That's going to be a really good, much more emotional meeting for me. What's happening though is that, like, for instance, I get a phone call from a dear friend of mine, a fellow e-liquid maker who is about the same size as my company. We both submitted PMTAs together last year. We're both PMTA accepted. He calls me up nearly in tears. Don, what am I going to do? Unemployment is not going to cover my mortgage, my bills, my food. It's not going to feed my family. What am I going to do? And this man is almost in tears. This is a grown man. And I'm like, brother, I wish I had it to give you some money, but I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, trying to kind of feed most of my profits back into my company to grow. I will pray for you. I will keep you in my daily meditations, which I have. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's going on. I don't know if this congressman from New Jersey, I'm not going to name his name. It's not worth it. Knew how many businesses were going to go out of business because of this. I can name one big company because a company called Vape Wild. They were one of the OG original e-liquid makers here in the United States. Huge company. Shortly after we found out what was going on, they post all over their social, hey guys, it was good, it was fun, it was a good run, but we're done. And poof, I don't know if they went bankrupt, they just closed their doors. And that's sad. They were one of probably the top 5 e-liquid makers in the country. And they were like, it's just not worth it anymore. So a lot of companies are folding, are closing their doors, are just saying, hey, maybe it's time to do something else. Well, and here comes this little guy from Philadelphia who just has like, a level of stubbornness that, a lot of people don't have. That would be me. So what's happening is that I decided, well, F this, I'm going to just stay in business. Got these alternate shipping solutions in place, and here I am. So hopefully this is gonna make some opportunities for me in distributions throughout the country. Like, for instance, I've in 2 companies that I was a dropship vendor for, I'm now going to be a stocking vendor for. I'm just a matter of getting them products so they can now have their sales teams actively sell my brand. So for me, it's created a couple of opportunities because of, unfortunately, these companies, other companies that are going out of business. I mean, to give you an idea, here's a number. Before PMTA, there was approximately 13,500 e-liquid makers in this country. Post PMTA, we're estimating that dropped to about 6,000. Post Pact Act, there might be 1,500 of us now. To give you an idea, from 13,500 to 1,500. That's brutal. That's a lot of companies that were like around since vaping was vaping, since like it became popular back in 2014 and 15. Done, out of business. Like, like my friend, like on unemployment or off doing something else. So anyway, that's the effect that it's had. And that's coming over to the UK, and that there are anti-vaping organizations that are now trying to, lobby government officials in places like Mexico. The president declared it illegal. Thailand declared it illegal. Australia declared it illegal, just on misinformation, on propaganda alone. So if it's coming from the United States, you better bet that lobbying and all of the millions of dollars that are politically behind all this lobbying, you better bet your bottom dollar that that's coming to your country. So Anyway, let's look at a couple questions here and see if we can answer you guys. An anonymous attendee. Yes, the last time that I did this, it's very funny. I was literally sitting in my car. It was the evening before I got married, November 20th. So Amy is doing very well, thank you. She's off doing something else. So otherwise, I'd have her pop her head in and say hi. But basically, we've been in marital bliss since November. It's been a really fun ride. Like, to give you an idea, we've known each other for, I don't know, about a year now, and there has not been one harsh word between us, not one. We've had some pretty intense conversations, but soft conversations where one person talks, the other person listens, and a meeting in the middle happens. So anyway, enough about me personally. Is this from Marcus? Hey, what does the next 5 years look like for the Zen Vaper? Okay, so I just got my PMTA acceptance letter, which means I can be up until September of this year in the United States. I just got a phone call from the FDA last week that said, hey, listen, are these all your products that you submitted? Are you currently marketing these products? And I was like, yup. So what they're going to do is they're going to give me another year of discretionary enforcement. In other words, they're not going to enforce, you know, the you haven't been approved for your PMTA yet. So I'm going to be on the US market until 2022. I intend on expanding into all of like the top 7 or 8 distros. I'm already in Midwest. I'm already in Vape Ranger. I'm going to be in HS Supply, Demand Vape, Medusa, all of the top guys in the United States. That's going to happen in the next 6 months. Also in the next 6 months, as a matter of fact, if things can work themselves out in the next month or so, I'm going to be launching short fills in 60 mil and 100 mil sizes in the UK. After that, it's going to be Europe. After that, it's going to be, you know, I'm going to make my way from, you know, into the Netherlands, France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Croatia, all of the big markets and the big communities in Europe. Then it's going to be the Middle East is going to be later this year. We're going to start getting a toehold. We're going to be legit. We're not going to be on their black market. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get blacklisted forever in a country that's just discovering an alternative way to have their nicotine without smoking combustible cigarettes. So after that, it's going to be, you know, let's go invade Southeast Asia and see if we can convince the Philippines to re-allow vaping and vape shops to open, to re-allow Thailand, you know, for them to get vape shops back up and running. Vietnam, Bali, Indonesia, all of those places, New Zealand, they just opened up their country to vape shops. So probably that's going to take me to the end of 2022. And then it's just going to be a matter of like minding the business, you know, going to a lot of shows, you know, being like maybe instead of in my own booth, which we're going to be in Dubai, the MEV show in Dubai this year. We're going to be in the London World Vape Show in December. So I hope to meet a lot of you guys. We're going to attend a lot of shows in 2023 and see where it goes. Like, you know, basically just kind of see how the company grows. We're going to continue to both partner with Vapor Magazine, who hopefully by the end of this year is going to be able to claim that they are the largest vaping magazine in the world, in the entire globe. So, you know, if you get that on your coffee table, read that stuff. They have some super interesting articles. As a matter of fact, they've got an article about me coming out in the current issue that's coming out probably in either a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Let's go on to another question. Obviously, the Pact Act has had a devastating impact on our industry and sadly led to the closure of numerous longstanding brands. How do you think it will affect smaller local companies? It's the smaller companies that have went out of business already. Like PMTA, I mean, we were lucky. We got with a group of people and we were only able to spend thousands of dollars instead of tens of thousands of dollars to submit our PMTA. That claimed a lot of small businesses. The Pact Act made a lot of vape shops, a lot of e-liquid makers, all the American hardware makers, except a very scant few, said that's it. If we can't ship, you know, without this amazing hassle, then it's time to go do something else. So that 13,500 to 6,000 to like 12 to 1,500. That's what the Pact Act did. A lot of those businesses were little companies like mine who just, you know, they just chose to do something else, or they just gave up. And that's a really sad commentary, a really sad commentary. More on that on Friday when we have a chat with Patrick and Jordan. So let's see, who else? Tomorrow, as it appears that a U.S. politician who changed her mind on vaping is appearing at Vape Live. What are your thoughts on politicians that change their mind on the industry? Well, you know what? I know who that politician is, and I believe it's a she. So this is a good thing. What happens is we've been on like just a campaign of education. Now, I'm not a national advocate. I mean, I support the VTA, all the US VA organization, CASA. I support all of them. So, but I'm more of a state guy. Like we on the regular get our suits on, go down to, well, before pandemic, go down to Dover, Delaware, to the state capitol, and literally just knock on doors and get 15-minute meetings with our legislators and try to advocate, to educate, because we figure maybe people are having a negative opinion because of all of the propaganda, all of that well-funded propaganda that has been prevalent for the last, I don't know, year and a half or two. I mean, first we had EVALI with that big scare where teenagers were dying, and then it turned out that buying black market THC cartridges, not vaping, but they for 6 months, they vilified vaping. From that moment on, it's been like a tirade to just, you know, vilify our community and vilify what is the most successful smoking cessation modality in history. Vaping since 2013 has helped more people to quit than the patch, gum, Chantrix, and all other smoking cessation modalities combined in their entire history. So what it is it's all about money, and I'll talk about more about that when when Patrick interviews me on Friday. So anyway, do we have any more? Oh, hi, anonymous attendee. I live in France. I hear great things about your e-liquids. Can I get a hold of your? How can I get a hold of your products? Well, you can DM me after this, and we can talk about that. But basically, what's going to happen is I'm gonna launch in the UK, hopefully in the coming month or two. After that, it's going to be all of Western Europe, including France. If you'd like to get some samples sent, I can only send them with American labels, so it's only going to be something you sample privately. DM me afterwards. I'll do my best to get a sample box out to you via my third-party shipper, and you can go from there, and you can see kind of what vaping flavors that actually taste like real foods taste like. So in other words, one funny story. I gotta talk about just something I did, something I went through in developing the base for 3 of my flavors. So I have 3 cheesecake flavors: blueberry, strawberry, and what's the last one? Raspberry bliss. So I'm building the base and I'm trying to get it right. So I get what I think is a really good, you know, formulation for a cheesecake base. I go to a local restaurant and grab a piece of their cheesecake, and it's like that big old New York style cheesecake with the graham cracker crust. Take a bite, take a vape, take a bite, take a vape, get really upset. I did this 32 times every 2 weeks. How many weeks is that? That's over a year, okay? And finally, on the 33rd iteration, I took a vape, took a bite, I was like, oh, this tastes pretty okay now. So set it up before my focus group. They loved it. And then three fruited cheesecake flavors were born. Not fruit inside the cheesecake, like kind of like warm raspberry, strawberry, or blueberry compote drizzled over top of the cheesecake. And Peace, which is the strawberry cheesecake, is my personal favorite. That's what I vape. That's what's in my in my mod all the time. So basically, you know, it's one of my favorite flavors because it took so long to develop. So you've got 21 flavors that are based on real foods: custards, fruit flavors, like a fruit salad, like the little fruit cup we used to get in elementary school, but minus the syrup. All the cheesecake stuff, snickerdoodle cookie, apple fritter. I could go on and on and on, but these all taste like my snickerdoodle cookie. Like I vape that in a crowd of people, and invariably someone's going to say, "Who's baking cookies?" And it's outdoors, right? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, my bad here." You know, like it's vaping. Do you understand about vaping? And it sparks a conversation. So anyway, long-winded answer to a short question is soon, my brother, soon. DM me, we'll get you some samples, and it's a matter of me finding 1 or 2 large distributors, maybe one for the UK and one in that can distribute throughout the EU. And as soon as I find that, literally 2 weeks later, I can ship that distributor pallets of product to distribute throughout the EU. So hopefully that'll be the case, and we can get you some tasty flavors in the meantime. And we have more. What are your thoughts on how vaping is perceived in the US compared to the UK, EU, etc.? All right, let's take the UK. So, and I'm sure Patrick will correct me if I'm wrong. Royal College of Physicians comes out with a big study, I mean, a nice sample size, and they declare that vaping is 95 to 98% safer than smoking combustible cigarettes. So in the UK, vaping is like exonerated. It's like revered. It's like, from what I understand, there are even vape shops in hospitals. Like, you go to the hospital for like an outpatient thing and they keep you overnight, and sometime during your stay, you want to quit smoking. They put you in a wheelchair, wheel you down to the vape shop, which is next to the gift shop, and say, buy whatever this man points to. How cool is that? In the EU, there are thriving communities in France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Croatia, Romania, I mean, all over the place. So, and once again, these are countries that understand that vaping saves lives, that vaping is safer than smoking combustible cigarettes. We all know that smoking combustible cigarettes, there are, what, 4,000 chemicals, 4,000, 70 of which are carcinogens. What's a carcinogen, Don? A carcinogen is something that kills you from cancer. In the United States alone, 480,000 people die every year from smoker-related diseases. That's 1,300 people a day. You know, that's 500 people, 500 some people an hour. In the hour that it takes me to do this video, 500 people have died of some smoker-related disease. So in the UK, they understand. In the EU, they get it. Even in like New Zealand, like emerging markets, they get it that vaping actually is safer than smoking. It's an alternative, a healthier nicotine delivery system. And what's nicotine? It's not heroin. It's not crack cocaine. Nicotine, if you look it up medically, has about the same effect as caffeine. Yeah, caffeine. Basically, it's a little bit of a stimulant. It perks you up in the morning, and and then it goes away. It goes out of your system. You don't get physically addicted. You get kind of psychologically addicted. So it is kind of, when you give up caffeine, it's a little hard for a couple of days. You get headaches and whatnot. I've done it before. Same thing with nicotine. You have a little bit of withdrawal symptoms, and then, off you go. But if you do it via vaping, you can vape like at a certain nicotine level, then drop down a little bit more. And then suddenly you're off nicotine altogether. That's my goal as a company, is to lose you as a customer. You start on salt nic at a certain level, then you graduate to freebase nic, you go down from 6 to 3 to 1.5 to 0, and then you're done. You're off. Not only you're not smoking, but you're off nicotine altogether, and bam, your lungs are pink. You're in better shape. You can get your second breath. You can play sports again if you're young enough. All kind of good things happen. So there you have that. Anyway, take a bite, take a vape. Yep. And all right, one more story. I hope, yeah, we're good. We're doing good on time. So another take a bite, take a vape story. So in Philadelphia, in Center City, is it started out literally as a train stop. It's called the Reading Terminal. Above it is this huge farmers market, kind of a situation where they sell fresh produce, butchers. You can get like sandwiches, cheesesteaks. Well, in this Reading Terminal farmers market is a place called Byler's Donuts, B-E-I-L-E-R-S. Look them up. They have made donuts since like the late 30s, I think. And you go there and you pay a little more for their donuts than like going to Dunkin' Donuts, but their donuts are like this big. I mean, they're amazing. So like I did with the local restaurant, I went to Byler's, every 2 weeks, and I got one of their Boston cream donuts and took my latest iteration of Gratitude, the flavor that would become Gratitude. And I'd take a bite, take a vape, take a bite, take a vape. And at first I got the Bavarian cream, perfect. 2 iterations. 2 iterations later, the donut was perfect. 9 months later, the chocolate finally came to be. I mean, I tried every chocolate on flavoring I could find, two chocolates combined, three chocolates combined. Finally, actually another DIYer said, hey, have you tried this flavoring and this flavoring 1-to-1? And I did. And I went back and I was like, all right, it's too much chocolate, but it's really good chocolate. So I went back a couple times later, got the chocolate balanced, and Gratitude was born. So that Take a Bite, Take a Vape is pretty much one of the ways I do it, because my stuff is just like, you're gonna take a vape of Gratitude, and it's like taking a bite of this nasty, gnarly Byler's level donut where the cream's dripping down your chin, you know, but there's 0 calories, and it's helping you stay off the stinkies. How cool is that, right? All right, let's see who's next. As many people here are from the EU, can you tell us what current US administration's position is on vaping? Or is this not it's not a political issue right now. Here's what's happening is that, and I don't want to get into the whole long story about the master settlement agreement. Like, all the states basically made an agreement with the big tobacco folks, and they get so many hundreds of millions of dollars every year, depending on how many cigarettes were sold in that state. Well, in 2013, vaping became popular, and it just kept getting more popular. 14, 15, 16, even though they deemed vaping products tobacco products, it still grew in popularity to like this, you know, $7 or $8 billion industry that it is now. All right, suddenly these states aren't getting as much MSA revenue as they thought they were going to get. Some states like Pennsylvania actually sold bonds against what they thought they were going to get in 2018. When they got less than that, they got in kind of credit problems, like they had to get bailed out. So what's happening is, because of all that money thing, states are putting huge taxes. Like the state of Minnesota has a 98% excise tax on e-liquid. My home state in Delaware, much more friendly, 5 cents per milliliter. So, which is not bad. And e-liquid for shops is probably their most profitable item that they sell in the store. Pennsylvania, 40% on the wholesale price of e-liquid. So in some states, it's wonderful. In other states, like New Jersey, Massachusetts, who am I missing? New York, it is completely banned. Like, unless your flavor is tobacco or menthol, no other flavors are banned, or all the other flavors are banned. So you're getting situations where people just can't, not only can they not buy e-liquid, but now, before the Pact Act, even places like Midwest Distribution, HS, all the other distros wouldn't even ship into Massachusetts, New York, or New Jersey, because that's how hard the vape ban was, you know? So it's a mixed kind of a bag. I mean, some states, like, they realize that this is some cool stuff. This is like the future. This is like how we're gonna get our youth not to smoke cigarettes. This is how we're going to get young adults not to smoke cigarettes, by getting them into vaping and then off nicotine, period. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Here in the UK, Public Health England has publicly stated that vaping is 95% safer than smoking cigarettes. With the close relationship between the UK and the US, why do you think that the US hasn't, I'm going to say, taken notice yet? So here's the thing. The Royal College of Physicians was way ahead of its time back when they said that smoking causes cancer. I mean, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13 years before the FDA started requiring the warning labels on cigarettes themselves and on cartons and whatnot. So once again, it's a political thing. It's a money thing. The US, I think, knows about it, but is choosing to continue with this well-funded propaganda campaign. I mean, I'm going to call him out. Mr. Bloomberg has donated $106 million to anti-vaping organizations. He's gone on a personal vendetta against vaping because he believes that it's, you know, addicting another generation of youth to nicotine, when in fact he couldn't be any more wrong. It's a sad commentary, but it's true. The states are making more money off their MSA settlements than they are off of taxes on vaping. Well, unless you live in Minnesota, though, man, I can't imagine what it's like to have a vape shop in Minnesota these days. And there's other states that, you know, that have similar taxes, 70%, 50%, 40%, and they're trying to tax the vaping products to make up for the money they're not getting in the MSA settlement. That's a sad commentary. That they have to do something like that just to balance their budget. They've got to, and then states like Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey, they just, now the people that live in those states that vape have to go to neighboring states if they can at all, just to be able to continue to vape. Many have gone back to smoking, and that's basically what those states want. They want their MSA money, and it's once again, it's a super sad commentary. And it, like, here's a life-saving technology that they're just stamping down and stamping down and stamping down. And like, talk about 5 years from now, I'm going to make a prediction. If the propaganda machine has its way and vaping gets killed in the United States, I'm going to say within a year or two, suddenly one of the big tobacco companies is going to say, hey, you know what? I think we might have been wrong about that vaping thing. We think that it might really, kind of be more helpful. And we're going to wind up vaping the big tobacco way, in whatever mode they choose, whether it's continue to like buy up companies like Juul, where they now own a large share of Juul, and they have Juul has all of those billions of dollars of marketing machine and access to their lawyers and all sorts of stuff. But I'm going to make a prediction. This is just Don's humble opinion, not based on any fact, just my opinion. And that's if the United States goes under, if it goes sideways, if the next step of the FDA is going to be making us go to a lab and do harmful and potentially harmful constituents. That's also part of the TPD process. But the labs in the TPD process charge a pretty fair rate. In the United States, I'm going to quote once again, my co-packer quoted me very anonymously, so I can't say the company. There's a company that he co-packs for. There's 13 flavors and about 65 SKUs. They were quoted by a lab for HPHC testing of $1.02 million to get their 65 SKUs completely front to back HPHC tested. That's gonna, if once the FDA does that and hardcore does it, that's a check many of us can write. I mean, maybe the top 10, maybe 12 vaping companies in the United States might be able to write that kind of a check. It's going to basically effectively kill the vaping community, and that's a sad commentary. So anyway, we all hope that doesn't happen. We all hope that our national advocates can advocate for change and advocate that vaping has not killed one person, not even one, since it's been started, almost 10 years ago. Let the facts speak, Anyway, so I hope, once again, long-winded answer to a short question. Let's use next. After being grounded for so long by COVID restrictions, are you excited to hop on a plane and get down to some international vape shows? Yeah, man, absolutely. So as soon as the restrictions popped up, we are now booked solid. We have a booth at the World Vape Show in Dubai, the third weekend in September. Then it's my birthday, which we're going to do somewhere. And then we are also booked later in September 30th through October 3rd at the Middle Eastern Vape Show in Bahrain, right in the same place where the Bahrain F1 race is held. I'm a huge F1 race fan. So it's like, man, holy moly, we're going to be like within like a stone's throw of where the actual F1 race is held. So I'm really excited to be there. We're also booked solid to come back to the WVS in London, which is December 10th and 11th, I believe. So look out, Vape Around people. Don's coming, and we're going to find a pub somewhere, and drinking will ensue. Just saying. Some of you are going to wind up needing assistance by the time we're all done. Anyway, so, and as there's a show that might crop up in Madrid that's usually held in the fall. So we'll see. For any show that's going to be in right now in the UK / the EU / the Middle East, I'm there. I'm going to find the money to book into there and get a stand made and bring all of my tasty flavors over to that part of the world. So once again, hope that answers your question. We are, oh, by the way, fully vaxxed, got my card as of about a month ago. So, I'm hoping that the travel restrictions won't be so bad. They're not going to like, you must have two negative COVID tests to get into our country. hopefully by the time we all get more, as a global entity, we all get more vaccinated, some of those restrictions will be lifted. That won't be quite so painful to get through immigration and then back through immigration here in the States. Okay, who's next? Oh, we got a couple questions going on. Do you think that the media portrayed the so-called 2019-2020 vaping lung illness outbreak has negatively altered? Yes. Oh, absolutely. We talked about this. So, EVALI. Let's see if I can remember. E-cigarette, vaping, associated lung injury. Okay, that's EVALI. So what happened was, all of a sudden these kids started to, just drop dead. I mean, of the worst possible kind of pneumonia. It's called lipoid pneumonia, where the smallest little parts of the sacs, the areolae, fill up with fluid, and then you die thinking there's an elephant sitting on your chest. It is horrible. I can't think of many worse ways to go. Immediately, the CDC comes out with this big statement, splash on their, like news flash. These people all have in common that they were vaping before they died. They didn't say what they were vaping. They said they were vaping. So all of a sudden, the anti-vaping organizations just stepped up, got super well funded, and said, hey, hey guys, this is really bad. This is super bad. Now look what vaping's doing. Later, 6 months later, after a bunch of companies went out of business and a bunch of vape shops went out of business, the CDC put this tiny little thing on their landing page. Oh, we're sorry, guys. We didn't mean that thing about vaping. It wasn't e-cigarettes' fault. It was these kids were buying black market THC cartridges, and they were thickened with a thickener that actually was causing them to get sick and die. Now, what it was is vitamin E acetate. Now, vitamin E acetate, vitamin E sounds natural, sounds healthy, right? What it does is it vaporizes, you inhale it, you do your little psychoactive thing with your THC oil, and then what happens is when it gets into your lungs, it congeals back into grease. And if enough of if those little sacs fill up, you get lipoid pneumonia. And pretty much you've got a 90% chance of dying with that ammonia. So that's what happened. So all of the propaganda machine went into overdrive, and they vilified vaping. Let me give you an example. Okay, so what they did to vaping was like vilifying the syringe company for a heroin addict's addiction. How stupid is that? But that's exactly what they did. They vilified the method of delivery for these kids dying, and then when they finally recanted that, the damage was done. People were out of business. Once again, I lost friends that I was like, had the booth next to me at shows a couple of years before, they're gone, like just gone, because they're like, that's it, we're out. We're going to go do something else. This stuff is too hard. So in the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Greece, all of these places, there's huge thriving communities that believe in vaping. They hardcore believe in it. So big contrast. We've had to be a very resilient community to climb out of that, to jump through those hurdles, and then jump through the PMCA hurdle, then jump through the Pact Act hurdle. For me, as soon as they do this HPHC testing, if we don't have like a group rate with a lab or something where I can not have to write $1 million check, it might be the end of me here in the United States. However, if I can't sell in the US, I'm going to be everywhere else. I'm going to be in the UK and France and Germany and Italy and Greece and Croatia and Romania and all over the Middle East and all over Southeast Asia, because I got to help people quit smoking, because that's what we're here for. All right, we have 6 minutes left, it looks like. Let's see who else is doing here. For businesses looking to break into the US market, do you have any tips? Yeah, don't. Well, actually, it's impossible, because unless you had flavors to sell in the United States that you can hardcore prove before 8/8/2016, you'll be entering the US market in a gray market situation illegally. And if you're caught, now it's an ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms thing. The first fine for getting caught is $10,000 fine and 90 days in jail. Oof. I shudder to think what the second fine is. So businesses looking to come into the United States, it is nigh to impossible. You can, but you face that level of reprimand if you're caught. Now, are there companies like just flying in the face of all this that didn't submit a PMTA, don't care about the Pact Act? Yes, you know, and I'm sure that once they get caught, you know, they'll do what they have to do, or they'll just exit the community, and that'll be that. Those are the folks that are kind of in it for the money. They don't really care about helping people quit smoking. They're just kind of in it as a business. Okay, that's cool. If that's your bag, then that's your bag. Me, I'm in it to like honor my parents. Both my parents died of smoker-related lung cancer. My father a long, long time ago, and my mother 6 years ago. Actually, she passed away 65 days before my now almost 7-year-old son was born. She never got to hold her youngest grandson. So I'm in this for personal reasons. I mean, yeah, is it a business? Yes. Am I doing this to pay my bills? Yes. I mean, I would be remiss not to say that. But the bigger thing, my why, my personal why, is I want to help people. And I want to help people all over the world. So if the people in the EU, if politically it becomes impossible to help people to quit smoking in the United States, I'm going to be in Canada, in Mexico. I'm already in Canada. I'm going to be in Mexico when they lift the laws. I'm going to be in South America. I'm going to be all over the UK and EU, Middle East, Southeast Asia. And I collectively can help a whole bunch of people to quit smoking. All right, let's see who's next. Any advice for someone who is breaking into the vape industry? Yeah, patience, perseverance, resilience. I would say talk to people that have been doing it for a while. Get a mentor, get a business mentor, get an investor that understands what it's going to be like to just give you some money, and then as you need it over the first year or 2 year in business to continue to keep you floating while we weather all these storms. Because I believe globally, eventually, everything's going to be great. And I think that in emerging markets like New Zealand and the Middle East, you know, there's just going to be, there's no place to go but up. Like in the Middle East, some crazy, like 1/3 of the population smokes between a pack and a half and 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day. That's crazy. But yet that just means to me, there's so many people to help quit smoking. And if you're looking to break into the industry, you know, you've got like, you know, you can be like me, be an e-liquid maker. Or if you've got like some crazy design for a new mod or a mech mod or tube mech mod, you know, or you just want to open up a shop. You know, I have you know, a guy that I deal with now. He opened up one shop 5 years ago. He's got 147 shops now. 147. Yikes. You know, and all he did is he just kept folding money back into the business. He has some super understanding investors, and now he's one of the biggest chains in the United States. So not that you're going to want to maybe do that, but the idea is be careful. Don't just jump in without financial backing or without, you know, a good deal of money of your own to jump in. If you're going to get a vape shop, research location. It's location, location, location. They got to be able to get in, get their stuff, and get out and get on their way. You know, it's like Chick-fil-A, you know, or McDonald's. You know, get in, get your Big Mac, your soda and your fries, and get off on your to do the rest of your day. So hopefully that answers your question. Anybody else? Ooh, we're almost out of time, and I've answered everybody's questions. How cool is that? Any last thoughts, guys? Anybody? Anybody whose question wasn't answered? So, all right, in the 2 minutes left, I hope that you guys in the UK, you know, Great Britain, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, you'll be tasting my flavors sometime mid to late June. In Western Europe, maybe sometime over across the summer. I'm going to just march from Western Europe to Eastern Europe. September, we're going to break into the Middle East in a big way. I'm actually setting money aside to legally get some flavors, you know, into vape shops the legal way, not the gray market way. And then we're just going to go from there, maybe to Southeast Asia and New Zealand, and see kind of how it goes. So soon, wherever you are, there's going to be a vape shop, hopefully somewhere near you, or an online situation that you can order my flavors in. And remember, my stuff is the only stuff right now that I know of that actually tastes like real food. Handmade in small batches, pre-steeped to perfection. Like, so when you buy a custard, that custard is going to be tasty. That cheesecake is going to taste just like cheesecake. No added sweeteners means you know, it's nice, clean aftertaste, and it's kind to your coils. How many times have you like vaped something and your coil is like black the next day? You'll get weeks and weeks and weeks out of a coil with all of my flavors. So anyway, so much for my PSA. Guys, enjoy, have a great time, and we'll see you soon.